Morning, everybody. If folks could grab a chair and make your way into the shade here. Dr. Campos, can you tell the people by you to grab a chair and come on under the tent?
Grab a chair, folks.
Thank you, Brenda. And Brenda's our bouncer today. She's going to make things happen smoothly. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 45th annual graduation ceremony for North Colorado Family Medicine. And most of you are very, very familiar with this program, but some of you are a little less familiar. Let me start out by saying this is pretty much how we do graduation every year. We generally have people wear masks. We don't get the best looking people coming to this program. And they're smart, but not always the best looking. So masking is one of our priorities here. And then the physical distancing is important as well. I think there's just a whole lot fewer showers and bars of soap in this community than some. But thanks for putting up with that, and I would welcome people to, if you want, move even closer to the front. I am quite asymptomatic today, and being outside, I think 6 foot buffer should work pretty well for me. So if at any time during our event this morning you would like to move your chair, feel very free to do that, okay? Another thing I would point out is the reality of mask fatigue. Right? We all get tired of our mask. If at any point anyone feels like, I need a break from this mask, just kind of move out into the periphery a little bit, if you would, to remove your mask and enjoy some breaths of air. But we were able to do an in-person graduation this year kind of by the skin on my teeth. So we have to follow some rules this morning in order to have this event in person. So thank you for your cooperation with that. To start out today, I have a few acknowledgments I'd like to make. Residency, and especially I think a family medicine residency, is a lot of hard work. It's a real tough 3 years, and especially in a North Colorado family medicine program. And I am always so proud of every one of our grads, but something that I always like to acknowledge first at our graduation ceremony is the family of our grad, because you folks either have had to put up with a whole lot of grief for 3 years, or you are owed a tremendous debt of gratitude for raising such an outstanding person. Our graduates again this year are just the best. Love each and every one of them. So thank you, families of our grads, for the great job that you did, or the terrible 3 years you've had the last 3 years. Next, I'd like to just acknowledge our many faculty. It is quite an effort to train people. I have this title of program director, and that really means I'm the head cheerleader for this program, the head cheerleader, and that's what I enjoy doing. The actual teaching is done primarily by our outstanding faculty. And so, Dave Reed, can you stand up? There he is. Dave Reed is faculty out in Ray in our Rural Training Track program. Thanks for all your work, Dave. And the Sterling faculty, represented by Amanda Nichols today. Stand up there, Amanda. Take a big bow. There you go. Very good. And next, our core, or actually our Sunrise faculty. And let's see, I saw Sean Filipovitz and Brenda Campos-Spitzy, Tyler Weigang, and Bryce Spitzy there. So great job with our Sunrise program with a focus on community health center outreach to the underserved. Terrific job by all of you. And next, our core NCFM faculty, the larger part of the program. I'll be introducing each of them later, so if you folks would just stand up and we can thank you for your good work. These faculty that stood for about a half a second there are the best faculty in the United States of America in a family medicine residency program. And I feel like I speak with authority on that topic because I taught at most of the other programs in the country before finally getting here almost 20 years ago. So they are just tremendous. And I so appreciate your hard work, faculty. Representing our program office today, Kendall Roses, if you would stand, please. And just stay standing for the rest of the event, please. So Kendall and her colleagues in the program office really are the ones that get the details done of running a family medicine residency program. There are just countless details, and if anybody was relying on me to make sure everything happened, I'm afraid we wouldn't be having this event this morning. So thank you to Kendall and your colleagues for all of your good work. Next, I'd like to give a special acknowledgement to our administrative chief resident physicians. This is a special designation. They get paid about 10 times more than the rest of their classmates, and they have a whole lot of duties in appreciation for their work and their pay. But Tyler Darland and Brianna Money, if you would come on up here, please. So I'm not going to say a lot about them because we'll hear a little bit more detail later on, but every year we thank in a special way our chief resident physicians who have extra duties by having them choose a medical book of their choice, and then I buy them and hope to get reimbursed. And so Brianna Money has chosen a point of care ultrasound book, and that will come in very handy for her for the next 52 years, I'm pretty sure. And oh, I've got the wrong book. Yep, thank you for pointing that out. I didn't look at the names ahead of time. Okay, so Tyler Darland here has chosen my favorite book, Habib's Clinical Dermatology. I am often, acknowledged as knowing a little bit about skin conditions, and I always tell the patient I've had this same skin for like 64 years now, so I've become kind of an expert. But Tyler, there's your book, and thank you both. And if you'd stay up here, please, for your hard work the past year and 3 years. Next, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our academic chief resident physicians. They have a slightly different task in that they are helping us be the best program possible educationally. And from a resident doc perspective, they really help us out tremendously there. And so Abigail Myers and Leona Shum, please come on up. Thank you. So Abigail Myers has chosen Feniger and Fowler's Procedures for Family Medicine. This is another of my favorite books. This is one that we pull off the shelf at our clinic multiple times a day because it's so helpful in helping us with all of the details of the many procedures that we do. So here you go, Abigail. Thank you. And Liana Shum has chosen another excellent book, Fitzpatrick, Clinical Dermatology. So, Liana, there you go. It's not my favorite, but I like it. I like it that you wisely chose a derm book. That's really helpful. Next, and I don't know if they remember that this is their duty, but next, our four chief resident physicians are going to name the Teacher of the Year award to a community preceptor that they have chosen. which of you was hoping to start the long speech about this?
So each year the third years get to pick someone who we feel like was a really wonderful teacher. On top of the wonderful teaching we get in our program, but also from a community doctor out in Greeley or in the hospital that we work with a lot. So this year we chose Dr. Summers, who's an OBGYN that we rotate with in the clinic for gyne and do C-sections with and deliver babies with and just learn a ton from him. So we wanted to recognize him for his outstanding effort and his inclusion of us on the deck and in his clinic. Is he here? I don't actually know.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
He had told me he was out of town today,
Okay.
but otherwise would have
Well,
loved to have come.
We wanted to thank him for his work, and I hope that he stays around for a long time so more people get the chance to work with him as well.
Well done. Now the other three chiefs will give a similar length speech. Okay, thank you all. Little applause for that folks. We will do a presentation of that very nice plaque. I don't know if any of you will be able to see it from way back there, but it's really quite a nice plaque for Dr. Summers. And as in most years, when the Teacher of the Year is unable to come to our actual graduation ceremony, I will find a good time and a number of resident docs to help me present that to him in person, probably over on labor and delivery. So we'll do a good job of that for you. Next, I would like to give out a very, very nice award. This is one that is kind of near and dear to my heart because for, I don't know, it's something like 29 years now, I have been full-time academic faculty around the country, and so teaching is very, very important to me, and recognizing a graduate for their outstanding teaching is something that I really enjoy. This award, the Society of Teachers of Family Medicine Resident Teacher Award, is given after a vote by the faculty to a graduate who has demonstrated interest in teaching and precepting medical students, who has participated in a patient education or residency education committee, who has done a great job with teaching of their peers, who is seen and valued as a teacher by their patients and their peers, and has demonstrated evidence of teaching in our community as well. And this award is often a difficult one because we get the best resident docs in this program. But I'm very happy to give the award this year to Dr. Liana Shum. Congratulations. Thank you so much. The next award is the Dr. Sam E. Whitney Memorial Education Scholarship. Dr. Whitney was a eyes, ears, nose, throat specialist in Greeley for many years, retiring at the age of 75. The recipient of this scholarship is chosen by the faculty, and this award winner reflects a deep commitment to the medical profession. And I'm very happy to call up to receive this award Dr. Daniel Dyer. Congratulations. Now, for the next one, I actually have to make a phone call. So consider this a little break in the action. Hello, Caroline.
Yes.
I just wanted to include you in this next little section of our graduation event.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, very good. So the next award
The next award. Sorry, folks. The next award is the Dr. David Bates Memorial Scholarship. Dr. Bates was the first program director at North Colorado Family Medicine. He was known for his honesty, being very trustworthy and dependable, a consummate physician. The recipient of this award is chosen by the NCFM faculty, and this award winner reflects a deep commitment to family medicine. Yes. I'm disgusted. Oh boy, this doesn't usually happen. Oh well, okay, I'm getting it now. So anyhow, I am very happy, so happy that I'm crying up here, to award this to Dr. Caroline Peel. Big applause. So sorry. I always get a little choked up by that one, but Caroline has been so special to us these past 3 years. I'm so proud of her, and I think it could have been given, that award, which is our highest award, to any of the graduates, really, any of them. But very, very happy to give it to Dr. Peel. So,
Oh, thank you so much.
all righty. So Caroline, I'm going to hang up and then I'll call you back a little later. All righty?
Thank you so much.
You betcha.
Okay.
All right. Caroline has a infant and grandparents that had never met that infant this weekend, and just trying to be as safe as possible. She told me a couple hours ago that she wouldn't be coming to graduation, so I think that made me a little more emotional, but sorry about that. Okay, next. This one I'm not going to cry about. Next, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker and singer, Dr. Daniel Fahrenholtz. And Dan, come on up. I'm going to hold the microphone for him for parts of his presentation today. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. You betcha.
I'll try not to get tangled up in all the cords here. That's a pun also, because I have my guitar on me and I have to make chords with it too. Don't forgive the pun. This is going to be a premiere also for this little song that I have and you've actually got the words on the back of that sheet there. And Dr. Michael Bradfield put those words together. Is Michael here today? There he is. Yeah. He said he put those words together. They almost fell out. I think while you were on labor and delivery.
Dr. Peel's last shift, we were listening to Don John Prine, who died of coronavirus.
Yeah.
She was writing a note, and I typed it up and pasted it with her there.
So I'm going to pull up my stuff here, and I'm going to probably try to do a little John Prine here. So good morning and welcome to graduation during the COVID era. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the 11 graduates of the North Colorado Family Medicine Residency Program this year. As you all know, graduation is not a completion of your learning. It's just a marker as you prepare for the next step. I would like to have you stand or wave as I acknowledge each one of you by name. Benjamin Boson, Tyler Darland, Daniel Dyer, Thomas Golden, Abigail Myers. Carolyn is distant. Samantha Pupor, Cameron Scranton, Leona Shum, and Elisa Troyer. And Brianna Money. I'm glad you pointed that out to me. Somehow or other I didn't get you on the list. I thought I don't have 11 here. You are all accomplished physicians who will be respected by your patients and the communities that you serve. We as faculty have been honored to participate in your education and your development and look forward to hearing of your future accomplishments. I am here today to spin a yarn, to tell some stories as individual threads that will be woven together into a fabric, a tapestry that I hope represents my experiences as a physician and hopefully will be of some aid and inspiration to you as you move forward into your life and career. I have a song to sing. It is a somewhat sad song. John Prine was a country western singer and a songwriter who recently died with COVID-19. It is a song of reflection, and on the other side of the page that you have is a picture to reflect upon. You can choose to see one picture of an old woman reflecting on the past, or you can choose to see the picture of a young woman looking into the future. Both are there, and that is reality. You all have the words and I don't. I might just get a copy. There's some extra. So this is a, can you all hear me here? Okay, good. Can you hear the guitar? Good. All the snow has turned to water. Cheating days have come and gone. Hired interns and faded call sheets are all that's left to linger on. I hate morning and night rounding. daffodils for free. Well, it took 3 years to get those souvenirs, and I don't know how they slipped away from me. Cerner Notes and Microsoft Windows make life difficult to see. That's why last night and this morning always look the same to me. I hate reading about COVID, for it always brings me tears. I can't forgive the way it robbed me of my cheap year souvenirs. Memories, they can't be bought, they can't be won at hospitals for free. Well, it took 3 years to get those souvenirs, and I don't know how they slipped away from me. Memories. And thank you to Michael for putting together those words. While I get through my technical difficulties here, here we go. So I said I was here to spin a yarn, and that's what I'm going to do. I want you, first of all, to recognize how rare you all are as individuals. Each of us have unique qualities, rare combinations of weakness and frailties, strengths and heroic potentials. No one else is like you, and often you are unaware of all of your potential. Fortunately, and I think this is true of all of us, others have been more aware of our potential than we ourselves. They are the ones who have lifted us up along the way, be they parents or siblings, friends or spouses, teachers, mentors, colleagues. Even the patients that we see may be the ones whose trust elevates us beyond the ordinary, whose courage becomes something to emulate. To those people, we owe a great debt for providing the inspiration that drives us forward. I have always liked a quote attributed to Isaac Newton. If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. We are surrounded by giants, and we become giants by lifting others. I will never forget the call from my dad when I was a senior in college, asking whether I wanted to go to medical school. I said, sure, but I don't have the money for that. And he said, Karl Marx thinks that you do. It turned out there was a man in our community who was named Karl Marx, spelled Karlmarx. And he said that Karl Marx thinks he can get the money for you. This was during the Vietnam conflict. I had a low draft number, and I was planning to enlist in the Air Force to go fly jets. But Karl Marx had been elected mayor of the little town of Sylvia, Kansas. I grew up on a farm 30 miles west of Hutchinson, Kansas, and 10 miles north of Sylvia, Kansas. Sylvia had about 400 people in it. And that's where the school was that I was bused to every day for an hour in the morning and an hour home at night. Anyway, Carl had been elected mayor of the little town of Sylvia, Kansas, and found an unused account in the city coffers that had been left as a bequest by the last physician to serve the community in the 1920s. That money had been in a local bank that did not fail during the Depression and had grown to over $500,000 by the magic of compound interest. It was to be used to pay for the medical education of a student from Sylvia who would agree to return to the town to provide care there. It had never been used. Carl was able to track down distant surviving relatives and get their permission to allow the use of the money for the training of anyone from the general community who would not be expected to return to the community if they paid off the loan at a low interest rate after finishing their training. Carl was one of the giants for me. He was also a giant for others from that little community. Other physicians arose from that farming community, including my brother. Other nurses, physical therapists, EMTs, paramedics. That money even paid for an ambulance that sits in that little community to this day with an ambulance garage and EMTs that are all from the community. Another thread of our lives as caregivers is that we are engaged in a profession as a distance runner, a long-distance biker, maybe a Tour de France biker. Caring for yourself is critically necessary to enabling and empowering you to care for others. A good distance athlete prepares and trains for each race, eating well, resting well, seeking the advice of good coaches, emulating good runners or good bikers, updating our equipment and learning techniques, new techniques as we age and work through injuries and fatigue, sometimes as part of the peloton, sometimes as a leader. And there will be injuries, emotional and physical, as we go through our careers as doctors, as caregivers, but also as friends and spouses, parents and children of parents. Each of these roles is colored by our training and experience as doctors. Balancing all these roles and needs is not for the faint of heart. One of my older patients once told me that getting old is not for sissies. However, the richness of all these experiences is much to be desired and adds to the richness in our experience of life. There will be distractions. You will have the fear of failure. You will have the fear of not knowing, which is the primal fear of all physicians. You will have the paralysis of analysis. There will be uncertainty. You will have economic pressures to perform as an employee or as an entrepreneur, though most of us will now be employees of healthcare corporations. You will be asked to resolve difficult situations in 20 to 40-minute blocks. What is interesting to me is that this is about the non-commercial time of the average sitcom or one-hour television show. We've learned to have short attention spans. Get used to the uncertainty. You are not infallible. Be forgiving of yourself and others. Medicine is an inexact science. I have sometimes told my patients, those that can understand the analogy, that I'm not a prophet. I'm your bookie. I cannot foresee every circumstance or outcome. I am playing the odds. I cannot guarantee the absolute success of a treatment or a medication. I cannot prevent all potential complications. My duty is to manage their care in the best way possible to reduce the risks that they face and maximize the benefits. I will repeat, I am not a prophet. I am their bookie. I will do my utmost to move the odds in their favor. You may have heard it said that it is better to be lucky than good. I will add that it's best to be lucky and good. I repeat, be forgiving of yourselves and others. We are only human. Be prepared to grieve for your patients and with your patients. I have done my share of grieving and have been healed by others. I have an indelible memory of riding in the ambulance to Wichita from the little town that was 60 miles west of Wichita where I practiced. Riding with a young woman swollen with the anasarca induced by a postpartum toxic shock syndrome. Her distended breasts soaking the hospital gown with breast milk. She asking me if she was going to die. Me trying to reassure her and myself that she would live. I remember watching hours later in the ICU with the cardiologist at her bedside as she entered into ventricular fibrillation from which she could not be converted. I remember walking into the waiting room telling her husband and the new father of a baby girl that his young wife was gone and the little girl no longer had a mother to feed and grow her. The family did not understand. I myself did not understand and grieved the loss, feeling that the world was suddenly only colorless shades of gray. But that father continued to bring his little girl to me for newborn care and child care. About 2 years later, he had remarried and brought his new wife to me for prenatal care. His trust was a lot of what brought the colors back to my life. He was, and is, one of my giants. Of course, his new wife went on to require a C-section delivery for arrested labor. No stress. You are part of a unique group as family physicians. Larry Green, he's distinguished professor in family medicine at CU, and a friend of mine, once told me in conversation that the family medicine doctor is the only true stem cell of medical providers. You are now one of those stem cells, capable of morphing into the kind of doctor that your community needs. Depending on the demands of your patient environment, you may be a pediatrician, an ER doc, an internist, a hospitalist, a surgeon, an obstetrician. Sometimes you will be all of those in the same day. Many of our past graduates have distinguished themselves in inner city or rural areas, third world countries or suburban Colorado, providing the care that is needed there at that time with those people. It has not been uncommon to hear of career changes as our graduates move from one area of need to another, learning new skills or resurrecting past skills to meet the new situation. Sometimes family medicine docs are called generalists, and all the other docs are specialists. I reject that. I chose family medicine as the most intellectually challenging of medical disciplines and the one that would best equip me to take care of the people who had lifted me up. Family medicine is not a discipline of knowing a little about a lot. It is a discipline of knowing a lot about a lot. That is not an expectation to be a lone ranger, a gunner, or a cowboy. It is an expectation to have a broad knowledge of disease processes and treatments and to know when and who to call to benefit your patient. Pride is not an appropriate component in this process. Teamwork is essential. But if I am to be called a generalist or just a family physician, then other docs are just specialists, or maybe just partialists. Being a musician, an analogy that I often envision is that of an orchestra conductor. The great conductors are also great musicians. They often have intimate knowledge of each of the instruments, knowing the characteristics of each instrument, sometimes being a virtuoso in one particular instrument. But it is their breadth of knowledge of each of the instruments that allows them to call on each of the specialists in the orchestra, each of the different sections of the orchestra, in order to bring life to a piece of music. It is our privilege to function in that role, bringing our own skills and the skills of other talented physicians into play for the benefit of those who depend on us for their life and health. The conductor brings life to the music. We bring life to our patients. This has become more and more critical with increasing availability of complex treatment regimens and technology. At the beginning of my career, CT scanning was in its infancy. MRI and PET scanning was still in the laboratories. Laparoscopic surgery and fiber optic scopes were in the stages of development. Ultrasonography was primitive. Medications were actually about a quarter of what they are now. Some entire classes of medications had not even been thought of yet. This is an exciting time to be in medicine and a privilege to be in the service of others. I am sure that you have heard me say on rounds that a fundamental question in medicine is always why. You may have completed your history and physical and answered the questions of who, what, where, when, which, whose, and how. Notice all the words. And now we get to the ultimate question of why. It is the why that will lead you to the most interesting answers. We often start our interviews in the clinic or in the hospital with, why are you here? Why questions lead you forward. Why does the child have the rash? Why did the abscess form? Why did the fall occur? Those kinds of questions lead us to solutions, and also more questions. Ultimately, it leads to an existential question. Why am I here? Why are we here? Why are we here now? I read recently that the odds are that there would be 36 active communicating intelligent civilizations in our home galaxy on Earth-like planets that are 4.5 billion years old or more, that are circling around sun-like stars that have the right proportion of iron and other elements. Or there could be none. Or if there is another civilization capable of using radio waves for communication, or for broadcasting more sitcoms, it would on average be at least 17,000 light years away and difficult to detect or communicate with. We are rare. Each of us as different individuals are extraordinarily rare. Each of our patients are extraordinarily rare. Life is rare. Rare things are valuable. Diamonds, gold, platinum. Achievements that are difficult are rare. Nobel Prize, Super Bowl. The universe is estimated to have been here for about 13.8 billion years, and if the theories are correct, will last at least another 13.8 billion years before entropy stasis occurs. Each of our lives is a rare moment in that whole spectrum of time. The rarity of each life that we care for makes it extremely valuable, and we are privileged to care for each life. That brings me to vitamin P. I have observed the effects of this essential vitamin over the decades of my career. Life is rich and full when it is present. It is weak and destitute in its absence. That vitamin is purpose. I have found purpose in medicine. It has allowed me to be both an observer of the miracle of life and a participant in life and the lives of others. I propose that you get plenty of vitamin P. One final thought before I cease my rambling here. Equanimity. 13 years ago, I had completed my tour of duty as residency director. We had bought a house in the mountains and planned to live in Shangri-La while I continued to practice a little rural medicine on the side. The residents and staff had bought a book of essays by William Osler for me that was entitled Equanimitas, the Latin form of equanimity. They filled it with congratulatory and complimentary comments. The specific essay in the book was the valedictorian address to the graduates of the Pennsylvania School of Medicine in 1889. What is equanimity? It is an essential ingredient for all physicians. It is a combination of imperturbability, that capacity to remain calm when chaos reigns, along with a tolerant, non-judgmental attitude towards our fellow human beings. Osler said, the more closely we study their little foibles of one sort and another in the inner life which we get to see, the more surely is the conviction borne in upon us of the likeness of those weaknesses to our own. That similarity would be intolerable if a happy egotism did not often render us forgetful of it. Osler urged us not to seek certainty when it cannot be found, but to be satisfied with fragments of the truth and to be ready for the inevitable struggles and disappointments ahead. The art of medicine, and this is my quote, is making life-changing decisions with incomplete and sometimes inaccurate information. Osler advised that when struggles and disappointments arrive, we are to stand up bravely and wrestle on with due persistence. Even in defeat, cultivating a cheerful equanimity will make the pain easier to bear. When matters of principle or justice are in play, we are to cling to our ideals, Osler urges, even in the face of evident failure. We're not here to be changed by the pressures of the world. We are here to change the world. We are here not to dwell on the sadness of the past, but to choose to see the beauty that looks to the future. I wish you all equanimitas.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fairholtz. That was outstanding. Well, I think that there are 11 people here this morning that have a frame that they are hoping to fill for their office that they'll be moving into. So let's get around to that part of the event, the presentation of diplomas. And if the graduates have anyone they would like to thank, they're certainly welcome to do that when they come up as well. I'm going to introduce the diploma presenters. If I could call Dr. Amanda Nichols up first, please. Dr. Nichols is a graduate of North Colorado Family Medicine and now an outstanding faculty for us out in our Sterling program in about 100 miles away. Dr. Nichols?
So I'll start with Dr. Bozen. Dr. Moore, who is our program director out there, really wanted to be here, but had a baby on Tuesday. So she sent me some things to say as well. So I'm going to start with what she has to say. And I couldn't really agree more with how she put things. So she says, as faculty members, we are not supposed to have favorites, but with only one previously graduated class of 2 residents each, it's hard not to pick favorites. Perhaps it's because we've learned so much together over the past 2 years, and even more because of the tireless effort you both have put into the program to make it better as you become excellent doctors yourselves. Either way, these 2 are my favorites. I'm so thankful to have Benji as a resident for the past 2 years. When he first started in Sterling, his natural calm and quiet demeanor may have appeared as insecurity, but his confidence grew exponentially as his competence in treating patients, grounded in solid medical knowledge, quickly became apparent. Benji truly flourished in Sterling as he was able to take more ownership of his patients and demonstrate the skills that he had learned in medical school and in Greeley. Benji has a reassuring and quiet presence that endears him to patients as well as to staff. He makes you feel like a part of the family. He has an unfailing work ethic, and managed 2 years of crazy 24-hour shifts every 4 days without complaining. There have been some bumps in the road as we learn more about being a program, including the time Cam and Benji agreed to cover all of the OB call while Pete and Natalie were both on away rotations. I think we probably still owe Kayla at least one dinner out for that one. But Benji handled it all with grace. Those of us who helped teach you over the past few years could not be more proud of the excellent physician you are. Through much diligent hard work, pursuit of opportunities to improve, and a constant gracious willingness to learn, you have become truly an outstanding doctor. We are honored to call you our friend and colleague. Congratulations. And I was going to say something too real quick. I first met Benji as a 4th-year medical student rotating in Sterling. I think he was only with us for a short while, visiting as he was considering our program. He had only spent a day or maybe even a half day of clinic with me, but I recall him being one of the kindest students I had worked with. And incidentally, now I know why. His sunglasses, he has an inscription that says, "Be kind, BB," and he wrote that for himself. He had a gentle demeanor, spent time with patients, listening well, letting them get out all of their concerns they had come in with and thoughtfully addressed each. And then later, even with a busy resident schedule and some of our most challenging patients who seemed to be on his schedule nearly weekly, his attitude was still the same for the 2 years he was with us. He never rushed through an encounter. He carefully considered each concern and provided thoughtful and excellent care. And I know he did this on the inpatient side as well, with both the medicine and OB patients. His patients certainly loved him, and I know we'll be sad to see him go. We will miss him greatly, and have already felt his absence. Our candy drawer still has candy in it. And speaking of his remarkable eating habits, he did leave me with a piece of advice on weight loss strategy that worked for him. Don't have a milkshake every night. Only one. This from a man with an A1C of 4.8, which of course we had to check because of all the candy. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of your education, Dr. Bozen. He truly is a great family doctor, and I wish him the best wherever he decides to go. Just so you know, I believe we still have an opening in Sterling.
I didn't prepare anything to say because I really didn't plan on saying much. I did chip a tooth on Monday, and it might have been from candy. I had starburst in my mouth, and I had a rock as I was chewing it. I pulled out. It was actually part of my tooth. So, candy is not great for you. And then I had one other thought. There's been so many good mentors and so many things over the last 3 years that have stuck with me, but I did want to say one thing that kind of came out today. It was in my 3rd week of medicine. Dr. Fisher was the attending, and it was a rough week, and I was really questioning why I did everything I did to get to that point. And he said, "You'd rather go work at McDonald's, wouldn't you?" And he was joking, I think, maybe. But I was like, at that point, I really thought I'd be happier working at McDonald's. And it was, and nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. I still think I could be happy working at McDonald's. But it was kind of a turning point right around then that I was like, I'm pretty lucky to be able to have the opportunities that I have to get the training, work with the people, and do the things that I've been able to do, which has been a blessing. So I'd like to thank everybody. Greeley was amazing for a year, and then Sterling's been a big family out there. Dr. Nichols won we awarded her with our Teacher of the Year award. She's worked really closely with us this year. And then especially I want to thank my wife, who has put up with a lot behind the scenes that has made it possible. So thank you, everyone.
Is my agenda at the back? No.
I took it.
Too many papers.
Without the list, I was just going to close the event. So I'm glad we found it. Next, I'd like to ask Dr. Asa Ware to come up. Dr. Ware is also a North Colorado Family Medicine graduate and one of our outstanding faculty. He is an associate program director for us and our faculty liaison to both of our rural training track programs. Dr. Ware.
Gotta be just right. Hey, grab one. Morning, everybody. Morning. It's nice to see some friendly eyes and foreheads out there. Welcome to not the first, nor the second, or the third choice for this year's graduation. It has been a very strange time. But these challenging times have shown how this graduating class takes everything in stride and makes the most of what they're given. They've truly showcased their resiliency and flexibility, and it's really been amazing. I've spoken about senioritis this time of year before, when those nearing graduation sort of check out and wind down. This year's class has done just the opposite. They've risen to the challenges we faced, and because of their amazing efforts, we've accomplished so much. I can't begin to express my gratitude to each of you for all that you've done. This couldn't be more true of Tyler Darland, and today I have the pleasure of presenting him with his diploma. Tyler has served as one of our illustrious administrative chiefs this last year. This is a busy and challenging job in times without COVID, but the difficulty, stress, constant schedule changes, and more have been unprecedented these last few months, and Tyler has met those forces head on. And most of the time, he's even done it with a smile. I work closely with the admin chiefs every year. Last year, as Tyler transitioned into this role, I joked about all the text messages and calls that we would share. I think he knew that there was some truth to this, but no one could have anticipated the amplification that this year presented. For many of us, usually the first and last person we talk to every day is our spouse or significant other. This last year for Tyler, it's been me. The texts, emails, phone calls, video conferencing, first thing in the morning, and last thing before bed. I'm really sorry about that, Laura. Now, Tyler is from Kansas, and so of course, he's a huge K-State Wildcats fan. Or wait, is it the Jayhawks? I'm sure it's all the same. No, it turns out Tyler is KU through and through. He studied biology at the University of Kansas for undergrad and continued with KU for medical school. Now, how's it go? Rock and roll chalkboard? Or no, rock chalk blue jay. Anyway, I've actually had the opportunity to visit Kansas with Tyler a couple times for resident recruiting. It was fun getting to see some of his old stomping grounds, enjoy some barbecue, visiting the historic town topic, and learning that Tyler knows and sings along with every rap song ever made. Also, for those of you who have not had the honor to see Tyler on the dance floor, I can assure you his hips don't lie. In residency, Tyler had the reputation of being a black cloud. That means when he's working in the hospital, storms happen. Things get overwhelmingly busy, and patients are super sick. I feel obligated to warn anyone here who has a uterus to beware. Tyler has been known to cause hemorrhaging simply by being in close proximity. It's kind of like a storm front moving in. You don't want to look him in the eye. This type of reputation has undoubtedly prepared Tyler well. I can't think of much that he'll face which he hasn't already seen before, except maybe a perfectly normal, uncomplicated delivery. No, he'll be well equipped to take care of those patients too. Tyler's training and experience have prepared him for a long-time goal of providing comprehensive care to patients at every stage of life, from the womb to the tomb, as he said in his personal statement when he applied to our residency. And he'll be providing this same type of care, this same type of broad spectrum care, that is, back in Kansas when he starts his career in Atchison. Tyler has been an incredible person to work with. He's smart, hardworking, motivated, and thorough, but he's also lighthearted and strives to make work fun. We've all benefited from being around Dr. Darland. When you see him on the schedule, you know you could be in for a really busy day, but it's definitely going to be a good day. Personally, I've shared with him some really great moments, but also some very difficult ones, and I feel honored to have been part of his journey. I'm proud to call Tyler a colleague, but I'm prouder still to call him a friend. Congratulations, Tyler. I wish you the very best of luck. Let's hear it for Dr. Darland.
Thank you. For a second there, I was concerned I was still at the roast. So I've lived in Kansas my whole life, so it's kind of a big step for us to move out to Colorado, away from family. So, but I don't regret that decision one bit. Greeley has been great to me, and I think great to Laura. So I'll just keep this really brief, I think. Mainly just thanking first Laura. She's been very supportive over the last 3 years, kept our house going. She listened to all my complaints, especially after those really hard days where it seemed like every possible thing went wrong. So that was extremely helpful. And then when we thought we were winding down the year, a pandemic, of course, happened. So she was really supportive through all of that as well. And then thanks to my family, it's been a long 11 years, I think we calculated. And it's just not an easy road, so they've always been very supportive as well. My co-residents, man, it's been great working with you guys the last 3 years. I will really miss you all. And then, of course, the faculty, you guys have taught us pretty much everything. How to be an actual doctor, a real doctor, how to keep your cool under stressful situations. And you guys have been great role models. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Really appreciate everyone's support, and best of luck.
Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Jeffrey Cook up to the amazing podium. Dr. Cook, also a North Colorado Family Medicine graduate, has been faculty for many years now, and he is coming up to give yet another diploma out.
Years ago, a well-loved physician wrote the following words. The place I have found in medicine that makes me feel most alive is the moment before I knock on the patient's door, standing on the edge of that person's life. It is sacred for me. That stillness, crystallizing my thoughts, bringing together my mind and my soul to be fully present with my patients. Dr. Dyer went to St. Olaf College in Minnesota, where he studied chemistry and English. He also got to know one of the Golden Girls while he was there, which spurred a passing interest in geriatrics. He went to medical school at Creighton, where he graduated magna cum laude, and his passion and hard work were recognized by induction into the Alpha Omega Alpha and Gold Humanism Societies. He has a servant's heart and is willing to go wherever there are needs. And over the years, he has served in Nicaragua, Peru, India, Malawi, and Papua New Guinea. But he also cares for those in his own backyard. For example, in med school, he was the director of Creighton's Magis Clinic, where he is which is a student-run free clinic serving the homeless and uninsured. And he was also a refugee family mentor. At NCFM, Dr. Dyer notched a trifecta by completing the requirements for the Advanced Maternity Care track, the Global Health track, and the Advanced Leadership track. In all of his free time, Daniel developed a hepatitis C education, screening, and treatment program here at NCFM, which he has entrusted into the capable hands of one of the rising new chief residents. This spring, Daniel was recognized by the CAFP as Colorado Resident of the Year, reflecting his clinical excellence, compassion, leadership, and service. I've gotten to know Daniel well during the past 3 years. He's a quiet guy, just like me, but he and I have had many meaningful conversations together. Last spring, we went to Toronto with a small team to present some research. At one point, Daniel and I were walking downtown, and he shared with me what got him into medicine, some early mission trips and different experiences. I don't remember all of the details of the different countries and experiences, but what I remember was catching a glimpse of Daniel's heart, his desire to care for people, his heart which breaks for injustice and poverty, his passion for missions, and his desire to use his many gifts to love the poor and to serve God. Daniel has been accepted into the World Medical Mission Post-Residency Program run by Samaritan's Purse. This 2-year fellowship will prepare him for the type of practice necessary in the developing world. Much of his training will take place in a remote district in Papua New Guinea. This is how Daniel views his training in medicine and his purpose in life: to care for the most vulnerable and forgotten on our planet. The place I have found in medicine that makes me feel most alive is the moment before I knock on the patient's door, standing on the edge of that person's life. It is sacred for me, that stillness, crystallizing my thoughts, bringing together my mind and my soul to be fully present with my patient. I hope Daniel will remember those words, and I think that he will, because he wrote them. They are the opening paragraph from his essay to get into residency. As you prepare for your next chapter, here's some final words for you, Daniel. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. For there will never cease to be poor in the land. Therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to the needy and to the poor in your land. Congratulations, Dr. Dyer. Please come forward to receive your diploma.
No more hugging.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk. It's hard to believe that the 3 years is over. Dr. Smith says we had the best class, and I think we really do. Those who you're graduating with, thank you so much for everything, and stay in touch. To our faculty, you guys could probably do a lot of other things and make a lot more money, but you choose to teach us and be patient with us as we struggle through. So we really appreciate that. Thank you for all your wisdom, your teaching, and help as we grow. Thank you to my parents who've been so supportive through this whole 11-year journey. Really appreciate that. And I know there's so many people who have helped get us through that aren't here to celebrate with us today. But just thank you to everyone.
Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Brenda Campos-Spitzy to come up. Dr. Campos-Spitzy is also NCFM graduate and faculty for us in our Sunrise Community Health Center program.
So, I have the honor this morning of presenting Tom Golden over here. His family is hopefully watching us from North Carolina. So I met Tom for the first time 4 years ago in Kansas City. I was recruiting for our Northern Colorado Family Medicine program. I was still a resident at that time. So he came up to our little booth, and even without reading his resume, he stood out to the three of us that were standing there. And we invited him to join us that night for a more exclusive meet and greet event. He remembers this. So he didn't show up right away, and we're like, oh, I guess that Tom Golden, we only give this invitation to 10 people. And we're like, I guess he wasn't that serious about our program. Well, he did end up showing up, and apparently he'd gone to our venue, but there was a different event going on at the same venue, and he'd eaten their food. But yeah, so despite his tardiness, he left an impression on us, and we were thrilled that he chose to train at our program, specifically the Sunrise Track. So those not familiar with the Sunrise Track, Dr. Smith touched on it earlier. But it's a program within the Northern Colorado Family Medicine residency program that takes 2 residents every year to work in our local community health center rather than the regular residency clinic. What stands out about our community health center, it serves a large immigrant and refugee community and doesn't turn anyone away regardless of their ability to pay. So it's a special place. So I have 3 minutes. I was reviewing Tom's resume, and he is amazing. Like, I was hoping his parents would be here live to just tell them, like, wow, how did you make such an amazing human being? And there's a lot of pressure to try to present someone who I think we will be reading a book he wrote in the future. One of his passions is reading and writing, and he hopes to be a writer in the future. That said, among the attendings who are here from Sunrise, I don't know how many times we told him to keep his notes more succinct. But he did major in English, so he went to Chapel Hill UNC, majored in English with an emphasis on literature of medicine, minored in, let me get to that part, Spanish, I believe, and chemistry. He speaks 4 languages. He won't give me credit for all 4, so 3. He speaks English, French, Spanish, and has basic Irish down. He is very well traveled. He spent 8 weeks in Ghana during his undergrad, studied a semester abroad in France to hone his French skills, spent 10 weeks in 2009 traveling Argentina, Chile, and Peru, even working with Partners in Health, which those of us who are in the underserved community focused on that stuff. PIH is a huge organization. So he was in Lima, Peru, working with them. He spent 5 months in Nicaragua doing an epidemiologic study. After graduating from college, he spent some time in underserved areas in our own country. So he was in the Mississippi Delta there for 2 months, treating underserved patients with a doctor out there. And one thing that really stood out when I was reviewing his resume was that both in North Carolina and Mississippi, Tom spent time tutoring inmates at different correctional facilities who were pursuing their GED. So that was really cool. It just kind of shows what a servant's heart he has. I do want to read a few excerpts from his personal statement as well. He writes, quote, "I am aware that the American dream embodied in my own family does not hold true for all. Freedom rings hollow against the crises of intergenerational poverty, unemployment, and of course poor health. New immigrants and refugees yearning to breathe free face hardship and discrimination." And then he writes, quote, "Those who have had the opportunity to pursue their goals unfettered have an obligation to liberate others from the forces that keep them from fulfilling their potential." And he ends in, quote, "No specialty devotes itself to this liberation more than family medicine." So I just was getting all kinds of goosebumps reading that stuff. So he went to medical school at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School in New Jersey. I think the longest name of a medical school. Not surprisingly, after volunteering at the student-run free clinic, coordinating their humanities program, as well as a health literacy program for older Spanish speakers, he was inducted into the Gold Humanism Honor Society, as well as awarded distinction in service to the community at his graduation. He also served as part of the committee for the homeless and indigent population health outreach program. Between his 3rd and 4th years of medical school, 2015 to 2016, Tom took some time off and went to Ireland to get his master's in public health. So he received a scholarship that actually paid for his tuition and living expenses to pursue that public health degree, which is in line with his immediate future career goal. He will be pursuing a fellowship with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So I wanted to tell you, Tom, knowing who you are, knowing where you came from, we're so proud that you worked alongside us in the trenches. We know you chose our program. We're so happy to know that we're going to have an ally like you working at the CDC, kind of really knowing what it means to serve the underserved. I hope that you do get some time off to follow your passions of reading, writing, playing your saxophone, and now being a husband and father of 1.5. He's got 1 cooking in the oven. So yeah, so proud to know you and can't wait to read your books.
So I just wanted to say a few brief words about everyone I'm graduating with and everyone I owe a debt of gratitude that got me to this point. One of my great spiritual heroes is a woman named Therese of Lisieux. She's more popularly known as Saint Therese the Little Flower. And in her autobiography, she exhorts us to do all things, great and small, with great love. And I think I've seen that on display time and time again here in Greeley and throughout northern Colorado over the last 3 years, among the faculty, among the Sunrise faculty who I've been privileged to train with, but even more particularly among my co-residents with whom I'm graduating. So I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for being an inspiration to me. Here at NCFM, we do great things. We accompany women as they're bringing children to the world. We accompany individuals as they're passing from this life to the next. But we also do small things. We talk with one another, we joke around, and I think time and again, despite occasional slip-ups and folly, we have strived continuously to do all of those with great love. So thank you for always setting that example for me and encouraging me to be the best person that I can be and the best doctor I can be. More specifically, there are a few people I would like to thank. My whole entire extended family who has really gotten me to this point. My in-laws, with whom I have just a wonderful, loving relationship. The support that you have shown to me, to your daughter, to your grandchildren over the last 3 months has been unparalleled, and I can't thank you enough for that. To my own parents, obviously, Mom and Dad, you were the ones who inspired me to pursue medicine in the first place. You were the ones who gave me the opportunity to do it, and everything that I am, I owe to you. To my brothers, my older brother, who's serving in Bahrain right now, serving his country as an officer in the Navy, you are an inspiration. You show me every day what it means to put something bigger than yourself as an ideal to which you hold yourself. My younger brother, my best friend, my confidant, someone I'm able to talk with any time of day, any time of night, and relieve some stress. Of course, to my son Liam, you're only 18 months old. I haven't seen you in a couple months, and I'm very excited to see you next week. But the amount of pride I feel when I look at you, when I talk to you, when I hold you is something that I never thought I'd be able to experience. So I thank you for that. And to my as of now unborn child, the world you're coming into is kind of an uncertain one. My only promise to you is that your mother and I will hopefully leave you a better world than the one we're bringing you into. And of course, to my beautiful bride, we've spent the last decade navigating this life together. I can't imagine it without you. The support you've shown me over the last 3 years has been unmatched. I don't know what the next decade holds or the one after that, but I know that I'm happy to have you in it. And the man that I am today is almost entirely because of you. I love you, I miss you, and I can't wait to see you. And finally, I just want to say some closing words to the residents who are rising to their second year, to their third year, and to the incoming interns. I really kind of encourage you just to attempt to embody that exhortation of the little flower as much as you can, to do all things with great love. It's been a wonderful 3 years. I thank everyone who's made this experience possible. My time at NCFM has been a crucible. I've become a father, and I've become the doctor that I kind of always dreamed and hoped that I would one day be. So thank you, everybody.
Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Sean Filipovitz up front. Dr. Filipovitz is also an NCFM graduate and another faculty for our Sunrise program. Thank you, Sean.
So I'm here. I'm glad you moved to the front row so you can hear me. That's a good thing. So I'm here to present Dr. Abigail Myers with her diploma on behalf of an incredibly proud group of faculty from the Sunrise Community Health track, which Dr. Campos kind of laid out for you is our track that kind of focuses on the underserved and community health setting, and that's something that Abigail has absolutely embodied from day one as a wonderful steward for that population. It's been an absolute privilege to work with and learn alongside Dr. Myers for these last 3 years. She's been an absolutely incredible and impressive example of what community health can and should look like. And she's been an example to all of us, and we've learned from her throughout these 3 years. She's wholeheartedly embodied the mission of caring for the underserved, and she's got a resume that reflects that. She has without reservation been one of the most dedicated advocates that I've seen among many classes of residents and other faculty for caring for the underserved. And her advocacy has been very apparent from day one, and she has stood by all of her patients with the utmost respect, regardless of the complexity, compliance, anything that they would throw at her. She would find a way to fight and battle for them to achieve what she thought they could achieve. She was always constantly asking the questions of what barriers exist, and that's kind of a huge part of community health and caring for the population that she cares so dearly for. And she would take those questions of what barriers exist, and she would work to dismantle those for every patient that she saw in the clinic. And then she would never stop there. She would always kind of think, if it's a barrier for this patient, there's probably others that are dealing with similar types of issues and providers that have seen similar types of issues. And then she would see the system. And then she would figure out creative ways to work and correct that system so that we can all take better care of people. And so one simple example of that is wound care is something that is not kind of at the top of a lot of providers' kind of comfort zones. And we do a lot of it, taking care of underserved folks, a lot of diabetes, a lot of wound care that shows up in the clinic. And some of us have a little trepidation about that. Are we putting the right stuff on? And she took it upon herself to seek guidance from the infectious disease doctors and the wound care doctors and our own Dr. Weigang and the wound care team, and kind of built a system within our clinic to provide comfort for us and provide a kit to provide wound care for these patients that we see often. And it's used regularly and appreciated greatly and will be continued to use for years. So it's just one kind of simple example of how evident it was that she was constantly thinking beyond the surface level of medicine and kind of thinking about those next steps, those systems, and had great vision for how to improve things for individual patients and across the board. And that takes a special skill set to arrive to residency already with that level of thinking honed, and we greatly appreciate it. She came in with the skills and the knowledge to take things to that level from the get-go. That level of knowledge also made it always an educational and humbling experience whenever you're precepting while she's in clinic. But it was always fun. She always brought an excellent attitude, and I had a great experience just kind of sitting and talking through differentials and kind of game planning with her. Was always brought a lot of insight to everybody. So after graduation, despite a year and a half or so of gentle recruitment, she will be heading to a family medicine dermatology fellowship for the underserved. And I think it's going to be an amazing skill set for her to build, and it fits super well with her vision and what we've seen from her. So dermatology, despite having folks like Dr. Smith around, has been also historically a difficult thing to access for underserved populations. And what Dr. Myers decided is that naturally she would become the bridge that can fill that gap. And I think it's admirable, and she's going to do amazing things with it. A year from now, I'm sure there'll be plenty of dermatology that can be done in the Greeley area. So just one final little piece of recruitment there. And Dr. Myers, has been an absolute joy to watch you grow as a physician over these last 3 years. You'll undoubtedly continue to be an incredible physician and advocate for everyone that you take care of. We've been incredibly fortunate to have you at MFC for these last 3 years, and we are certainly better for it. So thank you, best of luck with everything, and congratulations.
Well, I feel very full circle with having Dr. Filipovitz present my diploma. He was the person I interviewed with when I first came out here, and he was one of the last people I had my shift with when I was finishing up as a third year, where we had some kind of craziness happening with multiple people having multiple ideas about what should be going on. And I was just so inspired by him. He is a calm person, sitting in the corner, watching all of this madness ensue as he usually does. And I knew, at that moment, I was so inspired by him, and I still, to this moment, that's one of the huge things I'll take away. He was a big inspiration for me to stay calm in every single moment. He's kind of like a Dr. Darland of the faculty, so. But residency has been such a wonderful experience for me. I've learned so much over these last 3 years. I appreciate so much our faculty who have dealt with me having strong opinions and letting me kind of learn and grow in that way. And all of, excuse me, my colleagues who I've learned so much from, not only in terms of academics and teaching, but in terms of friendship. And I will miss you guys a whole lot. I want to thank my family who couldn't be here, who are in Florida where COVID cases are growing exponentially. Didn't want to bring them to Colorado. And to my partner, Otsav, who has also dealt with me and listened to me complain on multiple occasions. But I'm just very grateful for the learning experience I've had with all of you, and thank you so much.
Next, I'd like to ask Dr. David McClellan to join us at the front. Dr. McClellan is not an NCFM graduate. How did that happen? But he has been a beloved faculty member this past year, having left Texas A&M angrily to teach at a much better program.
Thanks, Dave. Well, I have the privilege of presenting the diploma for Dr. Brianna Money, and I'm at a severe disadvantage here today because I'm the newbie faculty, and I'll know what to do and how to prepare next year if I'm still here. But Brianna, I've only known you for about 11 months now, I think, and it's been a real delight. In order to prepare for this, I pulled up your ARIS application and read your personal statement and your letters of recommendation, and it was a real delight for me to be able to read letters from two people that I actually know. Your preceptor in Eagle Lake, Dr. Thomas, and the director of the Rural Scholars Program, John Bowling at UNT. And I think that it's fun to look back as we look forward and see how you have fulfilled the prophecy that they proclaimed for you. There were things in there that said that she's well prepared and focused. She genuinely cares for the patient's overall well-being. She's knowledgeable and compassionate. She has a really strong work ethic. And I'll add a few things that I've observed in the short months that I've known you, that you're a very humble person. You have a great sense of humor. I can tell you have a real desire to learn and keep learning, and a passion for teaching others, not only medical students, but your resident colleagues, the underclassmen residents, as well as the nurse practitioners and your faculty colleagues. I'm looking forward to learning a lot about point-of-care ultrasound from you. When I asked some of the other faculty members about what else I might want to say about you, it was mentioned that you're a strong leader, and I know that you also completed the leadership curriculum, and I think that's huge. I have a sense, and maybe we'll see if this plays out, but I think you're probably an innovator too. So it's really exciting. I know that I speak for the faculty as well as for your underclassmen resident colleagues, that we're really excited that you're going to be joining us as a faculty physician at North Colorado Family Medicine. Please come up and receive your diploma. I'm a hugger.
Okay. Thank you for those kind words. In my second unprepared speech of the morning, want to say thank you to a few people, to Keaton for keeping me grounded and keeping the house running and the cats fed when I was nowhere to be found or was sleeping. And thanks to Ryan also for your part in keeping things going at the house too. It's been super fun having you around these last 3 years. To my family, who has been supportive of me since I decided in 7th grade that I wanted to be a doctor, kind of out of the blue. So thank you for all your support for the last however long that's been, 11 plus a few. Thanks to the faculty for teaching me so much and for letting me stay on. I'm really excited to see what the next few years look like. And to my co-residents, not just the 3rd years, but also to the 1st and 2nd years that I've worked with the last few years. I've learned a ton from you guys, and I can't imagine working such long hours with anyone different. It's been very fun. I am mostly happy to be finished, but a little bit sad too, because it's been quite a journey. And so thank you for your support and your encouragement, and for teaching me how to be hopefully a better doctor. And I'm looking forward to working with lots of you in the next couple of years. So just thank you to everyone who's gotten me this far. It's been quite a blast and an honor to be here. Thanks.
I'm attempting to make another phone call, and when I grabbed my phone a moment ago, it said, "Your phone is too hot. Functions may not work." Does someone else have Dr. Keel's phone number in their phone? I've tried several times, and it doesn't look like it's connected. Oh, now it's working. Maybe it's cooled off here.
I think you called Dr. Fear. Okay.
Hi, Caroline. Dave Smith here. I was going to loop you back in. Are you able to hear? Well?
I am.
Okay, very good. Very good, very good. Next, I'd like to ask Dr. Sam Ogden up front. Dr. Ogden has been faculty with us for many years and heads up our geriatrics and nursing home experience. I think he's the president of our hospital now and does all kinds of jobs.
All right, thank you. All right, before I start gushing about Dr. Peel, I just want to say a word about what we all have been through over the last, 4 or 5 months now. Nothing in our lives went the way we expected it to go. Our professional lives were turned upside down. Our personal lives were turned upside down. Our social lives were turned upside down. Nothing has gone as we expected it over the last couple of months. However, what has gone as expected is that today I'm standing in front of a great group of people who I respect and I can honestly say I love each and every one of you. I've learned a lot from all of you, and I hope that you continue to be the great doctors that you are right now. Thank you for indulging that. Hopefully I won't cry anymore. So it is obviously my extreme pleasure to present Caroline's diploma to her. Caroline came to us after going to medical school at University of Washington. She's originally from Montana, and she's going to basically return to her western roots by moving back to the Wind River Indian Reservation near Lander, Wyoming, where she'll practice full-scope family medicine for the members of the Shoshone and Arapaho tribes. Clearly, as anyone who knows Caroline can tell you, that the members of those tribes, as well as the greater community of Lander, are lucky to have her be there. She is clearly a highly skilled physician. But really what makes her different and makes her a doctor, there's a big difference between a doctor and a physician. Caroline is a doctor. And what makes her an amazing doctor is she is, to use Dr. Barinholtz's words, she is the embodiment of equanimity. She is that person. She has an endless compassion, endless patience, endless introspection. She is the embodiment of what a family doctor should be. The other thing about her is that she is the least flappable person I have ever met in my life. She has I've been in situations with her. I know all the other faculty have been in situations with her where personally I was wetting myself. But Dr. Peel is calm cool as a cucumber. The only way to know what's going on in her head is that little chuckle that she has. And I know those who work with her know that chuckle. And I bet I'll bet a lot of you wonder, what would it take to rile Caroline up? And so I'm going to tell you a story. So, like pretty much every other doctor who's here today.
Dr. Ogden, Caroline says that you hit the mute button.
I hit the mute button.
Oh, no.
How do I undo it? I did. Sorry about that, Caroline. I didn't want you to hear this next part. So like every other physician here, probably the thing that I do in medicine that gives me the most joy is being there for the delivery of a baby. It is what babies are, the shoulders I stand on to get me to work every day. And so you can imagine the honor I felt and the privilege I felt when one day Caroline came to me and asked me to provide prenatal care for her and be there for the delivery of her, who is now baby Ingrid. Now, in addition to honor and pride and privilege, I was scared to death. Everybody sitting here who delivers babies know how deliveries to healthcare workers and their families tend to go. They don't usually go very well. And so I was scared to death, but I also was honored beyond belief. And so with that in the back of my mind, we undertook prenatal care with her. And as it turns out, her prenatal care went exactly how you would expect a Caroline Peel prenatal care to go. It went smooth. She had no problems. She reminded me of appointments. She reminded me of what I needed to do. She continued to run the entire pregnancy, and she just skated right on through. And then I think I got a text one day, and she told me that she thought her bag of waters was broken, and she was headed to the hospital. And so I went in and met her, and sure enough, she was ruptured. And she went into labor, and she labored, and her labor went just how you'd expect a Caroline Peel labor to go. No anesthesia, quiet, calm, controlled. And she progressed through to complete cervical dilation and began to push. And we were pushing with her, and she was getting close. She pushed once, and then all of a sudden, out of her mouth came profanity. I could not believe it. I was standing at the moment and had to kind of take myself back. But it was one word. You all have to imagine what it was. It was under her breath, but I heard it. And I'm pretty sure the nurse heard it. And then that was it. She pushed Ingrid out. It went, and it was over. 5 minutes after Ingrid was out, she did 10 push-ups and walked out. So I tell that story to say that, yes, Caroline is totally calm, cool, collected, but she's not a robot. She is a human being. So once again, I want to thank Caroline for the honor of being able to learn from her, being able to be a part of her training, to be a part of your professional life. And most of all, I really want to thank you for the honor of being a part of your personal life and being a part of the development of your wonderful family. So your diploma will come to you at some point.
Caroline?
Yeah.
Do you feel like saying anything to anybody here?
I'm so appreciative for everyone here. I'm so sorry that I'm not there. I wish I had been there in person, but I mean, for 3 years, and I'm so thankful for each and every faculty member, especially Dr. Rogers, for all of his teaching and guidance and being my doctor and great factor.
Very good. Well, we're so proud of you. And pretend I'm giving you an elbow bump right now. Okay, bye now. Okay. I'm glad we got that technology that we could include Dr. Peel this morning. Next, I'd like to ask Dr. David Reed to come on up. Dr. Reed is a graduate of the RAY program and has been the rural site director for that program for many years.
Thank you. It is my honor and privilege to present Dr. Sam Papur today. As most of you know, Sam spent the last 2 years of her residency in RAY. completing the rural training track. When you first meet Sam, I honestly believe you wouldn't think she'd be the one that wanted to do a rural residency. When we first met 4 years ago, she was interviewing, myself and my colleagues were not sure if she actually knew what she was getting herself into, meaning actually living and working in a rural area. But when we called her immediately after the match, she was so excited to be coming to Ray for her training, and there was such joy in her voice, and it was a great relief for us to have her be so happy and excited. At that time, I didn't know Sam got excited and joyful about every single thing. That's Sam. Sam knew when she matched in Ray, she was getting herself into a new social isolation, and that'd be a challenge for her. We all know Sam loves a good social gathering. Back in the 80s, we called those parties. But little did she know that the spring of 2020, that social isolation would become a new level of social isolation. But she survived that challenge. It was very helpful to us in our community. Sorry, I'm the emotional one, not that guy. I'd say it was a struggle for her at times, and I was really proud she kept her positive attitude and worked hard to the end of the residency, which is an amazing feat. She's amazing with her patients. She has a strong following. She'll be missed by our community. She's become an asset to our community. And that's our favorite thing that our residents do, is they become a part of our community, a gift that most residents don't get to experience. I believe Sam has shown a true appreciation for that gift. She's been a tremendous resident to work with and help train. She's come a long way. We'll miss her strong work ethic, her enthusiasm for solving a problem or helping someone. Her love for helping is tremendous. Ever the inquisitive one, she's always looking to find all the different ways to take care of all the people. And this will serve her well as she heads to Brush, Colorado for her practice to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Papour.
I don't know if I actually need that. I'll just set it down. Just a couple quick things. I want to thank my parents so much for dealing with me for the last 30 years, but especially these last 10 or so through medical school and college and all that. It's been a challenge at times, but you've always been there when I needed you. For my Ray family, for embracing me when I came out and making me a part of the community and feeling like just another doc out there and not like some resident that they've got to deal with. And my Greeley family, who I love to bits and pieces, and I'm going to miss a whole bunch as you guys go all over the country and all over the world. But don't forget, 2023, we are meeting back up for FMX, and we're going to have a whole bunch of fun. And in the meantime, I hope to get to see each and every one of you. So, thanks.
Next, I'd ask Dr. Amanda Nichols to come back up to present another diploma on behalf of the Sterling faculty.
Hello again. All right, so here are some words from Dr. Moore for Cam. She said, although we were excited at the time of the match, I don't know we knew that we were so lucky to get Cameron as part of our program. He and Benji both worked so tirelessly to improve the program one step at a time, adding in ER time and making inroads with the physicians there, figuring out ways to improve the schedule and call system to maximize learning opportunities, and doing all the little things that often go unnoticed. But we noticed that you showed up early and stayed late. We noticed that you answered every one of those pages without complaining and worked long hours of call shifts and only looked for more ways to push yourselves harder and to learn more. We noticed that you treated every member of the medical team with the utmost respect and made us all feel like a part of your family. Sterling is a better program because you were a part of it. Thank you for your endless hours of hard work, your joyful and teachable attitude, your humility, and most of all, your friendship. Thank you for bringing Lindsay into our lives and later Kalia. Thank you for trusting me with the care of your family. It has been amazing to watch you grow and become an outstanding physician over the last 2 years. I cannot say enough about how proud I am of you and what a joy it has been to work with you. If you ever get tired of the gorgeous mountain views of Montana, you know you're always welcome with us here in Sterling. So when I met Cam, I knew we were going to be the perfect fit for him. I knew our program was made for someone like him almost immediately. He was our very last interview of the season, and I was kind of over it. And then Cam walked in with Dr. McIntosh and I, and he had a huge beard and a huge smile. And you could just feel, a little windy. You could just feel the eagerness and excitement with just his presence. I was impressed he was still able to show such zeal this far into the interview season, which gave him major points in my book. The more we talked, the more I knew a real program was in the cards for him. We were lucky that he took a chance on us. It has been so fun to work with Cam. He's shown eagerness to learn with a healthy mix of humility and confidence. He has spent long hours getting more experience in scopes and surgical OB, and it sounds like he's found the perfect gig in Montana where he'll be able to do it all and hopefully not get too bored. Although if he does, I'm sure he'll find plenty of time to camp, fish, and maybe even toilet train other babies. If you all don't know, his baby uses a potty. Moving on, I think he's a fantastic doctor. And his new group and community are going to be so lucky to have him. I'm honored to have been a part of his education and wish him the best.
I don't know if I need this, I probably don't. I'm going to ramble for a little bit here. So I first off just want to thank my wife, Lindsay, for being so supportive of me, even when I'm tired and grumpy, being a great mom to our daughter. I have to thank my parents for being with me through this whole thing.
I got this one.
Standing by my side, even if when I went off to University of Montana, lost my scholarship, and spent more time fly fishing and drinking whiskey than actually studying. As teachers, they were pretty disappointed, but they stood by me the whole time. My brother and sister, love you guys, and look up to you. A couple other shout outs to Benji for standing by me for the last 2 years. Couldn't have done it without you. Learned a ton from you. I also have to say thank you to Caroline for putting up with me, not through residency, but also through medical school. I know one other way to kind of get her upset. I used to tell the story that when Caroline interviewed at NCFM, they knew they wanted to match her, and University of Washington, which was where I went to medical school, called NCFM and said, well, you can take Caroline if you want, but you've got to take this country boy that comes along with her, because we got to find a match for him. So I'm so thankful for that. I'm so happy to be here. To all the residents that I worked with, you guys inspire me. You guys are amazing. Obviously, I've been in Sterling for 2 years and didn't frequently make it back for didactics. Busy. But you guys are amazing, and I look forward to figuring out where you guys or seeing what you guys accomplish moving forward. And thank you to all the NCFM attendings and the Sterling attendings. We're all just a huge family. And on that note, I have a toast that you guys have all figured out by now, that I don't speak as eloquently or articulately as Tom does. A toast to friendship that goes like this. Some ships are made of wood, some ships are made of steel, but the best ships are friendships, and friendships are for real.
Is that Dr. Seuss? One of our colleagues. Very good. Next, I'd like to ask Dr. Michael Bradfield to join me up front. Dr. Bradfield is also an NCFM graduate and a wonderful member of our core faculty.
Do you have a speech here somewhere? It's Gucci. So, I recently had a Zoom meeting with Dr. Springs and Adams and the new interns, and said, usually I'm about as good as the last book I read. You know, it's, you see all the quotes we use. It's really hard to come up with new things to say. So, just like Dr. Shum can rattle off the latest Street Side Insiders, Crackshot Rounders podcasts, or whatever you young kids are into these days, I studied some and asked for some helps in rattling off some thoughts about Dr. Shum. Some I stole from things I read recently, and then I got a great partner in crime, her partner Michael, to help me out a little bit. So for starters, I recently asked Michael, how would you describe Leona? And I gave him the stipulation, you can only use one word, adjectives. And so he said loving, loyal, supportive, self-sacrificing, excitable, bouncy, distractible, motivated, headstrong, analytical, and drowsy. Many of these are very evident. Anyone that knows Leona, she's loyal, supportive, self-sacrificing. But some of these I think we should take a moment to expound on a little bit. Loving. So the first time I ever met Leona, she was at my house for the interview dinner, and she was sitting with my son, and she had on like the no sock, cool hipster boot, tight pants that go like only to there, and you know, the press collared thing, and you could tell she was like, these guys are so lame. They got a kid, not a dog. But she made him feel, you know, like he was a part, had his chest out, and she does that with all her patients too. So after that, I was like, you're in. That was my first impression of you. Excitable. Maybe the bouncy goes here too. This is one of my favorite things, and it brings me so much joy. Maybe it borderlines on harassment as far as residency goes sometimes, but I love to just poke you and prod you and get you all fired up and just give you a hard time. And it's brought me actual joy. I feel like sometimes I want to pull my hair out when we work together. But, you know, in medicine we have moments of pride and fun and pleasure. But pure joy is pretty rare, actually. And when I see you running off, like, I'll take care of this one, even if you're stealing it from the intern, to run to some dark corner of the hospital to solve some case that no one's figured out, or to get excited about something, just that zeal to, like, find a zebra, and then the same thing, just to prescribe, like, lisinopril over the phone during COVID, that brings me joy, and I thank you for that. Drowsy. That's hilarious. I asked Michael to expound on that, and he said, I first met Leona 13 years ago. We were both taking a class at City College of San Francisco. Leona would routinely fall asleep in the middle of class or on the bus or in other opportune places and times. So when I received a video from Laura Gibbons of Leona actually nodding off and snoring while Laura was attempting to sign out, it was not surprising. I'll just leave that one there. And then headstrong and analytical. I was surprised by this one, actually. To be honest, you know, I was talking about reading. The last book I read was actually Shel Silverstein's Where the Sidewalk Ends. Not, I guess, great medical literature. But my son and I finished last night, and there was a poem that made me think of Dr. Shum with this headstrong analytical. Have you ever heard of tiny Melinda May, who ate a monstrous whale? She thought she could. She said she would. So she started writing the tale. And everyone said, you're much too small. But that didn't bother Melinda at all. She took little bites. She chewed very slow, just like a good girl should. In 89 years, she ate the whale because she said she would. I hope you keep eating medicine until you're 90, because so many people will do this. I will warn you, you know, medicine is a jealous mistress, and it might be a hard transition for you, like it's been for me. You're going for self-serving medical school, residency, everything is for your learning. And now, Banner just wants you to get the job done. There's a census to see, patients to care for. That brings revenue. They won't pay you to be in lectures anymore or to give lectures. You could always come work with us and do that, but don't let it be lost as you struggle and try to find your way as an independent physician. Realize that you're learning more than we ever taught you. You're usually teaching us anyway. Take your time to analyze your growth and find new areas inside and out of medicine to challenge you. Find new cartoons, new dirt to play in, different ways to throw the cornhole beanbag, for example. We've all been amazed at what you've juggled. Michael shared this, and this is what's tough for me. One of the most impactful aspects of Leona's residency has been the flexibility that the program provided and the support we received from its members while we were dealing with my diagnosis, treatment, and subsequent recovery. We often discuss how lucky we were to have been in this position. I'm very grateful to have been granted the extra time with her while I was ill. I would venture to say, and I know from my patients, not a single one of them got any less as you balance those two worlds. I've been so amazed by that, and thank you for what you've taught us. In that same vein, as only being as good as the last book I've read, I'm usually only as good as the intern and the chief I'm working with. And you made me look good a lot of times, and saved me on quite a few too. So in honor of you being a really rad girl and your accomplishments, I have a couple of small things for you to walk the halls of NCFM. First, you're going to need a bigger fanny pack, something that says boom, not a resident salary anymore. And I have a couple of things in here as well. First is a hog, which I've signed, so that makes it worthwhile. All the phone numbers are in here for your attendings. If you have something very difficult, call Dr. Ogden. If you want to get lunch, my number's in here too. And then a little light reading for you to go as you finish your census in like 5 minutes. And a lot of one-liners in here, but Oscar Landon, kill as few patients as possible. I really appreciate you. I admire you and I respect you.
Didn't really prepare anything. Very excited to finish residency. Feel very lucky to be part of this residency. Definitely terrified, as Dr. Ogden will tell you, with my last, I don't know, 2 weeks of panic phone calls of please save me, I don't know how to be a doctor. But yeah, I don't know, this has been a wonderful 3 years. There's too many people to thank. I won't run through the list, but I honestly feel from big and small experiences, you know, people who have more time in my life and people I just pass by momentarily at work, I know that everybody plays a part in helping me learn and grow. And yes, I'm definitely come off very headstrong. And over the last few years, I've learned in my quiet times to think and reflect and really
I do hear you guys as my teachers and helping me become who I am. So I'm sorry if I come off as I'm not listening a lot of the times, especially faculty, because you're close. I don't know. Probably should be looking at Dr. Ogden and Dr. Jeffers. Dr. Jeffers helped me realize too that sometimes, you know, I need to listen more, and I do when I get to quietly go in my room, and you guys have all been wonderful teachers that I really do appreciate. Thank you.
And just so everybody knows, I made her get the fanny pack. She loses everything.
Next, I'd like to call Dr. Joshua Fisher up front. Dr. Fisher, also one of our associate program directors, faculty for several years now, and wonderful help.
Hey everybody. What? I don't know. I'm gonna try to keep it together here. I got emotional just watching Twister last night, so I don't know if that bodes well, but I just want to start by saying congratulations to this incredible group of physicians. As I'm sort of sitting here listening to sort of talking about everybody and thinking about everybody, I just can't imagine if you took this group of 11 people, what you could accomplish, not just in medicine, but in just about anything. I think it would, as we've seen, they can accomplish a lot, and I just am very impressed with all of you. They've earned the right to get to this point. They've worked hard, and honestly worked harder and endured more than probably just about anybody will ever understand, except for the other 10 of you. They have many friends and families and some pets and some guidance counselors to thank for getting them where they are today and to this point. I'm incredibly honored to present the diploma as well as the certificates of completion for both the Advanced Maternity Care track as well as the Advanced Leadership track to Dr. Elisa Troyer. Dr. Troyer is first and foremost an immeasurably decent human being. She clearly became a physician, and a really good one, I might add, so she could help people and really help people. Dr. Troyer has a big heart, and she has been an incredibly important part of the mentoring and teaching of her fellow residents. She is honest and genuine and has been a real role model of what we're trying to instill in our senior residents, which is that we really, as you've heard today, rely on them and trust them to help us out with the teaching and honestly to be an extension of the faculty. Dr. Troyer was one of the lucky senior residents who was working in the hospital in July when the new interns started last year. And it should be noted that becoming a new chief, as tough as it is, but adding on mentoring and teaching a brand new crop of physicians really takes it to another level. Dr. Troyer handled that well and really did a nice job getting our newest doctors up and running. And I think they would attest to that as well. Dr. Troyer has been a big help to me personally by showing up to as many PEC meetings as she was able, and on more than one occasion, her insights and ideas led to changes in our program. Really meaningful stuff. There's no question that Dr. Troyer has left an impression on this program that will be here for years to come. What's more impressive is that she managed to do it while, I'm pretty sure, climbing every mountain in Colorado, including, I think, maybe while actually running the medicine service. Dr. Troyer is a free spirit, and I think she's going to really enjoy her new home in Safford, Arizona. It appeals to her sense of adventure, and I think also particularly her distaste for Colorado's generous winters. Colorado will miss her. We will miss her. I will miss her. And we wish Dr. Troyer and her amazing colleagues all the best. Congratulations.
I know you guys are all probably exhausted by now, and it's the, I guess the luck or the burden of being like the last person all the time in the teas. I will keep this pretty short. Thank you for my mom and brother and my brother-in-law for coming out to help me celebrate and help me to get ready to move from Colorado. But also shout out to my family who is still in Virginia and joining by FaceTime. This has been one of the most rewarding and also hardest 3 years of my life for various reasons. And it is one of those things that you don't think you can do it until you have to. And you just somehow figure it out. And so thank you all for being a part of my life. Wanted to also give a shout out to one of my chiefs, Dr. Christine Anderson, without whom I might not have finished this residency. And it's something that you just take one step and then another one, and then eventually, before you know it, 3 years are gone. And just remember, guys, every shift ends. And all you have to do is just arrive, and you don't have to have the landing gear down, just get on the runway.
One of the graduates mentioned that I had stated that this was my favorite class, and indeed it is, and I say that every year. Just to wrap things up, one small concern I have is that acute laryngospasm may be a new sign of COVID-19. Hoping that's not the case. And lastly, I'm not sure if I'm glad our brand new first-year resident docs are not with us today or not. This might have been fun if they were here. It's still pretty fun if they're not here. But a former NCFM faculty sent me an email this morning, and included in it was a little cartoon at the bottom that says, "Sure, don't wear a mask. Just remember the brand new interns start in less than 2 weeks." And their last semester of med school was online. Thank you all so much for coming. I am so proud, so honored to graduate these 11 folks into family medicine. So proud of you. Thank you all so much for coming. Bye now.